Hello and welcome to today's video. My name's ArbieG and today we are back with the VW Beetle Championship with ART. We are in round 8 of a total of 10 rounds in this series, so we're near the end now. Only 3 more races to go. Today we're at Fuji International for 2 20-minute races. First race based on a short 5-minute qualifier, and the second race based on a reverse grid based on the first race. So the usual rules apply, folks. So let's see how we get on today as we have a look now at the standings at the end of the last round. So myself sitting in 7th place in Tier 2. Still think there's a few things still not quite right. I think Lays in 10th place should be in Tier 2, as with Red in 14th. But those are our main ones that we're competing with in terms of the total standings. Lays and Red, so we've got to try and beat them on track today. We've got Roadrunner Dan racing today as well. He's a bit ahead of us in pace, so we're not trying to race against him at all. So really just trying to see this through and see if we can keep around where we are in terms of the standings as we go forward now into the race. So Fuji isn't necessarily my best track. So you can see qualifying wise, I run a 140.6. I know I can get into the 39s. I've actually managed to match near that 139.2 that Mo I got for pole. I can get that at times, but I just didn't seem to get that kind of pace in qualifying today. So racing from near the back, 7th position, grid start as usual today, as we're just about to get away. You can see we're off now, still sporting the purple whiskers livery as we come up to turn 1, which will no doubt be a little bit condensed. As come through now, see a little bit of to and fro in there. Dan just dropping off, giving those places back after I think he took a nudge from the rear to catapult him there into the pack. He's normally a very clean driver, so one of those incidents. Elsie comes through there, just manages to take position from me there, didn't get away to a great start. I don't like to push too hard on the first lap. I kind of try and let people do what they do, and then I'll start trying to race coming into lap 2 and 3. I'm not, no point trying to ruin your race on the first lap, to be honest. There's plenty of race left. As I say sort of over and over again, not many races are won in the first lap. So sitting in 10th at the moment, set up behind Dan with Mr. Navoli in front, coming through to the back end of the lap, sort of the last third, the real technical part of the track. You've got a lot of mid braking and mid throttling to try and do to get through here as fast as you can. Mr. Navoli loses the back end a little bit there, manages to hold it under control though, but affords us the room to move up behind him. As we come up now to the final turn before the nice long straight, where we'll see a lot of the overtaking happening today on this long straight. So just behind this Navoli, we're in slip range, but probably not enough slip that we'll be able to get a move on him for this one, but at least be able to pull back that gap, as we're now sort of just around about half a second and still whittling that down as we come into the braking zone now. Not quite tight against the apexes I would normally like, but not a bad exit there. As he actually loses his back end, Mr. Navoli, really unfortunate for him there. Must have went off the track slightly and caught one of his wheels on the grass. Easily done. Affords us to go up forward a little bit. We actually skipped forward a little bit in the race, just about a lap or so. Now into midway of lap 4, pushing up against Red, so caught up with that little pack, and now we're got this pack in front of us. I'm really just trying to have a bit of patience and see if there's an opportunity to work our way through it if we have the pace to do that, which I feel like I do. But again, just trying to learn from perhaps the Mazda race I had the other day, where just having a little bit more patience and just sitting behind people for a little bit and just observing and waiting for the chance, not trying to overtake people at every corner. Which I wouldn't say I was trying to overtake people at every corner, but I was probably trying to push a little bit harder than what I needed to get through. So sit up behind red here. Within that half second, get a much better exit than him there. So looks like we should be good to at least make a move on this straight. We're sat up right behind him at the start of the straight, which is kind of where you want to be. He's going up the inside of OK Ranger. I'm sort of sitting in the slip still on him, and now got up on the inside of him. So we're now kind of 3 wide coming up into turn 2. Into turn 1. I think I've got the edge in terms of the speed, so definitely got the edge. Probably get a little bit early on the brake, and red screaming on through there, but going wide, making a little bit side on side with Ranger, and a little bit in return from myself there. Nothing too dirty. It's all sort of a rubbing as we come around now into the apex. I let them go through, and I was hoping to get the cut back on him here, which I've pulled that off really, really well there. Just set my brake in just a slightly bit early to make sure I hit that apex perfectly and let them go through. We're still not out of this yet. We've still got red on the outside here, but I've got the preferred line, and it looks like I'm going to get this and have made that stick nicely. Hopefully can just try and edge a bit of pace and maybe move up to Mana in front of us and leave these two behind. That's what we want. We don't want to get embroiled in a fight and leave them two to scrap it out for 7th place. Looks like we've built up a little gap already. You just want to get out of that slipstream gap. So if you can get yourself to about, you know, just where I am at the minute, you know, 3/4 of a second to 1 second in front, going down that straight, you should be safe to protect your position without having to go on the inside to defend yourself in turn 1. And we might actually be able to make a move on Mana as well, actually, because we are in range of him. You look at that range we've got. Red is up behind us as well, but have we got a better exit there, and can we use the pull from Mana to avoid it from red? As you can see, we're still making some room on red, so he hasn't got that speed on us, but we've definitely got it on Mana as we slip up now. Don't want to come off the pace, want to make sure we've got as much pace as we can, so red can't make this move and we end up the top of this pack, which is what we're trying to do from the start, and it looks like we've got that pace to be able to come to the centre track. Red thinking about it, but I don't think he had that room now. Took the centre track, then come to the apex quite quickly to close that door off for red, and now we're looking pretty good here, coming through. Coming up to about midway through lap 6 now, so I worked this out to be a 12 lap race, so we're actually planning to pit at the end of lap 6, trying to hit the midpoint. Usual tyre rules apply, so we're allowed to use the soft and mediums, but I very rarely see people use mediums on this. The tyre wears enough that softs will last half a race. Although I do sort of feel the wear a little bit, I remember, towards the back end of this. There's the one that's looking up the inside there. Fortunate to get away without getting clipped at the rear there, but ultimately it hurt him more than anyone else, as he's found himself now back behind red, and myself still holding in this 5th place now. So yeah, it's been, you know, from where we were lap 1, you know, in 10th place, sitting behind just waiting for our moment. It's gone pretty well here. Got a little bit of distance between ourselves and the pack up top, so that's Lays, Ryan, Dan and Mo. But we're coming into pit now, so let's see how this works with respective strategies in place and stuff. I think you're going to find most people on soft tyres. A few people would run the mediums. Myself going back to softs and just a little bit more fuel. So we've got about 6 laps of race left to do. Just want to make sure we can get through, obviously, to the end. As we come in now for the tyre change, and we will get ourselves away and see where that leaves us. It's certainly come around to the next lap as well for the people who didn't go in that lap. Make sure we come out relatively in the same position we were, maybe with a bit of time grinding down on Lays in front of us, because he's still out there as well. He sees himself up 2nd place. He definitely felt like he had the pace on me at Fuji. Definitely not my strongest track. I do enjoy racing on it though. It's fun to race on, but just not one that I seem to do very well on very often. But I enjoy it. That's the main thing. So we're now end of lap 7. So let's see what happens pit wise. We're still stuck behind red, so they've got red in front of us. Pits are going in and out now. And currently he's in 6th position as Mana's coming out now. See, I remember when I did the pits, red come out, you know, went in behind me and come out in front of me. So when I was doing this race, I was sitting there thinking he's not going to have the fuel to get to the end, which has happened to him a few times actually. A few times I've raced against Red. We haven't seen him in the series for a couple of weeks. He hasn't been in the past few races, but the last few races I've been in a situation a few times with Red where he just always seems to underfuel himself and ends up having to come in for an extra pit stop at the end of the race. So not that I'm complaining, obviously it affords me the chance to get past him, but he just always seems to underfuel himself. I don't know if it's a slip of the finger. I've done that a couple of times where I accidentally remember one race in the FIA where I've come into pit and accidentally clicked the button to not change tyres when I needed to for requirements. Elsie getting up there, I didn't get a great movement through the chicane, left myself a little bit exposed to Barner on the inside here as well, but I think I've got the room to keep 7th place. But Elsie doing really well there, catching me slightly off guard and using the opportunity to move himself up a place. But in order to counter-attack it, we are in this straight now, so I've got him in slip range. So this is kind of what I was talking about before, and this isn't me picking specifically at Elsie. He did a great move there and obviously made that stick really well, but he did his overtake in such a place where it was going to be really hard for him to get out of slip range. So now he finds himself in a position where I'm on the attack straight after he's got past me. And this is what I kind of mean by like waiting until the moment's right to make your move. Whereas if he just sort of sat behind me, stayed in my slip, sat behind me, kept up nice and tight up on my rear, and made sure he had sort of maybe a better exit coming out of the last turn. As Red comes up on the inside there, making an aggressive, but yeah, slightly aggressive, and I think he had the corner cut to get that done. So again, not picking holes, but if perhaps that was me, I might have gave that a position back just because it wasn't necessarily completely clean, but you know, not necessarily dirty either, as I actually make a little bit of contact myself coming through there. So who am I to complain? But no, I'm not really complaining. It's just one of those ones where perhaps if you're corner cutting to make an overtake, it's not an overtake really. So, but yeah, as I was saying about Elsie and his move where he made a move on me here, the chances of him getting outside a slip by the time we get to that final turn were, unless I was, slipped off or something like that, it's quite challenging to get that gap. So that's why you kind of want to sit behind someone coming through this really a technical part, and then make sure you're as tight up against them and getting a really good exit out of here. Providing you do that, you should be able to slip up on inside, or even at best have the pace to be able to actually get in front and sit in front of him before you even get to turn one, so you don't have to come off your line or lose any pace. As we come through now, didn't get a great line through there, but still held it all right as we're now actually skip forward to the final lap. So we're just coming towards the end now, actually up in 4th position because Dan decided to drop himself off. He's just racing in this one. He should really, he's a high-end tier 1 racer, but he comes and hosts and helps us out and stuff, so he dropped back and secured myself 4th place. So pleased with that, actually. Qualified in 7th, not a great start to the race, finding myself slipping towards the back and slowly edged my way up through the race to finish on 4th. So yeah, really, really pleased with that. And some really good racing as well. I think it's definitely one that I really enjoyed. In fact, the whole night, as much as I'm really bad at Fuji, as I said, I do actually really enjoy racing on it and normally have really fun races on it. I just never really seem to get those top spots, but 4th is really pleased with that. So I'm going to go now into the second race. Like I said, reverse grid based on the results of the first race, and I should be starting near enough in the same place as I started in the first race. Obviously the difference being in general now is obviously it's the reverse way around there, where before I had maybe people in front of me were generally faster, certainly the top ones, with maybe that mid pack I just sort of underperformed in the quali, so you could see me move up through there. This one's a bit different where I've got these faster guys all behind me now. So, and Dan I think manually put himself at the back as well. So we're away. Dan's giving Ryan a little push there. And myself just on this outside here. Going to avoid the argy-bargy that will inevitably happen. Marnus getting spun out there. So a few of us managing to come out there relatively unscathed. A few casualties of the Shadow Realm. But we got away now, and we sit ourselves in about 6th place with Will just behind us and Mr. Navoli just in front. So we know I've raced with Will a couple times now. Definitely raced against him in the Beetles last week, and we know he's got really good pace. I think we managed to finish in front of him in one race last week, but he certainly definitely has that pace in general. So not someone that I go overly on the defensive over, because ultimately I'm just the one that's losing out on the race against people who match me in pace. But with it being so early in the race, actually find ourselves up now in 4th, so really nice, neat first lap. The belt coming through there, NXGN just making a bit of side contact. Probably not the neatest either of us that have ever done there, but nothing too bad, as obviously we're both still on track and still in our positions. So still got Mr. Navoli, Rodon, Dan and Will behind us, and we've got the belt needing a little bit of counter steer there to hold the car on track, making sure I don't slip out. Got Dan just behind us in nice slip range, and I'm just behind NXGN the belt, who first time racing against him, so a big welcome to him. Dan swinging his ass around behind me, using his butt, coming out, trying to make that move on the outside, doing a bit of Fast and Furious, and managed to close the door off to him there. And Dan's kind of quite similar to what I was talking about with Will. Like, as much as I did defend my position there, but I didn't come off my ideal line to defend it, if that makes sense. So if Dan was to make a move on me, I wouldn't slip on the inside and stay on the inside line and go on the over defensive. I'd just let him go past, because ultimately I'm just losing out to the people that I'm actually trying to race against, such as a Lays, who definitely has the pace on me on this track. I've kind of felt like we've been pretty match for match in the past few ones, and he's had a few unfortunate moments where he's had an off or something like that, and that's what's afforded me to get in front of him. But this race, certainly he had the pace on me, and it looks like he had the consistency as well. So I'm going to struggle to get up with Lays for this race, but just try and finish as well as I can. As you can see there, I was talking about before, I let Dan take that inside and make that move on me going into the chicane, and I didn't try and push too hard to counter-attack him. Likewise with Ryan as well, I'm not going to race too hard against him, although I do have slip from him here. And I think I actually go for the overtake here, and maybe this is one of those ones where wrong choice again made for myself. I just didn't want to be right up behind him coming into the braking zone, but go up on the inside here. Have no massive ambitions to get in front of Ryan, actually, just in case. Just because, quite honestly, I don't see me having the pace on him on this track. I'm matched with him in some of the races. It just depends on the track and the car combo. But certainly, you got to think about on a race by race basis. Who are you actually trying to race against here? And am I going to spend half a lap trying to defend someone who's ultimately faster than me, and at some point in the next 10 laps is going to find a chance to get past me? No, the best thing to do is stay your line, try and keep your pace up as fast as possible, but let them go through and do their race while you sit back and do your race. It's the best thing you can do for them and the best thing you can do for you. It's a two-way street, really. So that's the principle I try and apply. But we're now forward in lap 4, and we're actually up with Lays, so that's good to see. Keeping up with him, only a few tenths off. We're actually in slip range if we can keep up with him. I didn't get a great line through there, but managed to hold it pretty well. We had to go a little bit heavy on brake there to make sure I wasn't getting into the back of him. And he's actually pulled up a little bit more, trying to run wide here. I try and take this turn as wide as I can to, again, open up that corner as much as possible and try and get on that accelerator as soon as I can. We're in a good slip range between us and Lays, but obviously he's got slip as well, so can be harder to get that move done. But are we going to give it a go through here as we now come up towards the end of the straight? He's slipped himself up into the centre track, so I'm going to move on the outside. He actually took the defence there, and he's held that pretty well unless I get the better exit speed. He actually catches a little bit of the rear end and actually goes a little bit off pace, which affords me again a chance to keep up with him, but not so much that I'm going to make a move on him, certainly not through that turn as well. Not with Will breathing down my neck behind me, so again, waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for the right chance to get past him. As we're now about midway through lap 5, trying to get a good exit, and we just need to keep within that half a second range of us and Lays. And still very mindful as well as Will being only a few tenths behind us as well. Again, given a huge attack from Will, I would sort of let him go past probably. Unless, I mean, when I say it's not saying I would never defend against anyone if they're faster than me. You know, if I'm in the last lap or the last few turns of a lap and I'm in front of someone who I think's got pace on me, I will go on a defensive. But I just don't see the point in it so early in a race where it's not gonna gain me any kind of advantage really. And we're just coming through now. Left ourselves a little bit exposed on the inside. Again, just giving Will that chance. We've fortunately fallen back from Lays, but got this slip on Will, which I can use just to perhaps slingshot myself up towards Lays. Is he actually? I don't think he realises I'm there, or he was trying to dodge the slip, and then I don't know how I felt about that, but fair dues. Each to their own. Just staying in the centre track. Okay, Ranger's trying to look up on me inside there. Gives me a little side on side, and that's sent me wide, and I actually made a bit of contact on return, and I was a bit unsure because, like, obviously the knock from Ranger kind of sent me, so I decided to actually give them the positions because I felt like the knock in return was worse. But it was a weird one. It's a weird one. The split choice I made at the time was to give the positions back, and that's what I did. Whether or not that was the right or wrong thing, or whether Ranger for that contact that effectively sent me a bit further wide on that corner should have given it back. I don't know. It's one of those 50-50s. I'm not gonna begrudge anyone really, but certainly not clean. As we come through now to the tight chicane, and we actually get a bad bit of contact there from the rear. I think that was red. And actually struggling with grip now to hold the car, as you can see. Trying to get back up to speed, and I lost a bunch of time there. Just trying to get the car under control again. But yeah, took a bad bit of contact from the rear there. Not bad enough that it ended the race, but bad enough that it's dropped me off from the scrap I was in with Will and Ryan and OK Ranger. And by extension as well, LA's 1 star, so a bit unfortunate. That certainly can't imagine it was intentional, just must have outbroken himself a little bit. But we're actually now due to pit anyway. You saw how much I was losing it on the tyres there, so not a bad time to come in and see what we can do to get that pace back. You can see the tyre wear on the bottom left, so we do have a bit of wear, but not so much that it was made the mediums worth going through, I don't think. Certainly I didn't find the pace on it to suit it, so coming in now. Again, fresh set of tyres and just a little bit of refuelling to get us over the line. Gonna refuel a little less than last time, so you can see there I only went for 58%. Last time I went for the lower 60s. As we come out now in 11th position, actually give Mana a little tap there. Good job wasn't enough to send him wide and didn't gain me any kind of advantage, so actually find ourselves a lot further back now, but hopefully we've got some pit stops to happen coming up, which we actually skip forward a little bit. We're actually in lap 9 and we find ourselves up in 8th place, so a little bit behind where we were, but ultimately in front of Red, and now just got this Mana in front of us, so see if we can make a move on him and perhaps get up to 7th place. OK Ranger as well, I'd like to be in front of him, but again, I know Fuji's not my strongest track and we've only got a few more laps left, so maybe the realistic thing is just have a look at Mana here and see if we can get this done. As we actually quite a distance away, but we've got a bit of pace here on Mana. You can see that gap closing down very quickly. So I wouldn't have thought I was in range for a move here, but I don't think he got a great exit through there, so that's afforded me the chance again. Slip up on the inside into turn 1. Got in front of him. Is he going to get a better exit as he makes a cutback? All depends if I catch. And I just kept it in the track. You saw how close I was to running onto the green there. If you run on the green, your car's going to spin. And we missed it there, so got the move done ultimately, and now have pulled ourselves away from Marna, seeing ourselves in 7th place with about a second and a half on ourselves, between ourselves and Ranger. So not unfeasible to get back past him and get in front of him to finish off in 6th, but I think we're looking at either a 7th or 6th place finish here, unless someone comes up from behind as well. So I'm actually going to skip forward now. You can see lap 12, haven't managed to get past OK Ranger now so far. Doesn't look like we're going to, unless a mistake made from him and we find a sneaky opportunity. Although we've got the long straight coming up, we've only got about half of it. So to actually get in front of somebody, you need to get a really good exit. You need to be pretty tight up to him anyway. So see if we can make it happen. As he's carrying a penalty over his shoulder, so he needs to grind that off, or else we're going to grab a position from him. So he just sits with a 0-0 penalty over him. As we come through now the final turn, and he's still got that penalty over him, so I think we might have done this here, unless he grinds it down just over the line. But that penalty's just showing over him, and I think, yeah, we're going to get 6th place by just the penalty. I remember chatting to him in party chat at the time, and he was convinced he didn't have the penalty over his head, but on that replay it was showing the penalty there. So although it was showing off a 0.0, it must have been small enough that increased and ultimately gave me the position. So that is it for today's 2 races in the Beetles at Fuji, which was actually, like I said, not the best results I've ever done. Usually find myself certainly in the top half, in that top 5, which I did in the first race, but couldn't really find that in the second race. And obviously involved in a lot of scraps and a few fights here and there, which kind of solidifies your place in the race, if you will. Whenever you choose to start having a fight, that's where you'll be. But yeah, overall though, had real good fun with it, and ultimately that's what it's about. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed the highlights for this week's Beetles. We'll be back. We've got 2 more Beetles series left to do, so we'll be at Spa next week, which is actually one of my favourite tracks, and I think that's quite a favourite track for quite a lot of people, so really looking forward to next week's one at Spa. So we'll catch you guys then. Should have a Mazda one out as well over the next few days to capture what we're doing in the Mazdas, so be sure to check that out. But if you enjoy the video, don't forget to subscribe. It's really helpful. I think we went over 50 subscribers every day, so that's really cool. It'd be good now to push up to 100, so if you enjoyed the video, it'll be cool if you subscribe. And if you ever want to take part in the ART races as well, they are freely available to anyone to join in. Mixture of skill levels and lots of chance to practice and train and get some tips and stuff, so really cool community to join, and I've dropped the Discord for them in the description below, so don't forget to join in if you're ever interested in doing that. But that's it for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Alright, cheers, bye.